The kid in the movie I'm about to talk about is a cross between Norman Bates and a Garbage Pail Kid. Let's get into it. Hey, welcome back to my channel. And the film we're going to talk about today is one I've never seen before. I got to give credit to my buddy Dale. I was over at his house the other week, and he offered to let me borrow his Blu-ray of this film. And Dale has a podcast. Got to give a shout out to these guys. These guys are awesome, with his buddy Chuck. It's called Bat and Spider. You can check it out anywhere you get your podcasts. They review one horror film a week and one episode of Tales from the Crypt a week. Those guys are great. Check them out. The podcast is called Bat and Spider. So Dale let me borrow his Blu-ray. I sat down and watched this last night. I've never even heard of this film. They reviewed this about 3 weeks ago. And it intrigued me, and we got talking. He goes, "You want to borrow it?" I'm like, "Sure, I want to check this out." So this is going to be my review of this film. This film was actually a movie of the week TV movie for ABC. They aired it in 1974, October of 1974, I believe. It was a TV movie of the week kind of deal. I missed those, actually. There used to be some interesting ones. They don't do them anymore, unfortunately. This one was directed by Buzz Kulik, and in this film we got Scott Jacoby as Ronald Wilby, Bad Ronald in this case. Kim Hunter plays Elaine Wilby. She is the mother, and she causes a lot of why Ronald is the way he is. And we got John Larch. The reason I bring him up, besides I'm going to get into his character in this film because completely inept, but he plays Sergeant Lynch in this film. He was actually the police chief in Dirty Harry, the original Dirty Harry film. As soon as I saw him, he was in Dirty Harry. He was also in Play Misty for Me, and he was in some other films, but right away I remembered him from Dirty Harry. Anyway, this film pretty much starts off with, shows this old Victorian house. It's a little rundown, needs a paint job for sure. And we're introduced to Ronald and his mother. And it's just them. His dad and her husband left years ago and really doesn't have no contact with them. And Ronald's kind of an introvert. He's a loner, pretty much. He's a little bit strange, so is his mother. And they both have an affection for each other, which I would say is not healthy, for sure. Very Norman Bates and his Norma Bates kind of deal. Not quite as extreme, but close. Very strange, very awkward. But his mother loves him very much, and he loves his mother very much. Probably a little too much. And they talk about Ronald going off to medical school. Now, I don't know if this is true. After watching the film, I have a feeling both of these people are in their own fantasy worlds. But they need each other so much that that's the only thing tying them a little bit to reality. And one without the other, reality's gone. That's my take of the movie, just a little bit of it right up front. I don't know if that's even true if he was going to go to medical school. They talk about it over this little dinner scene. And Ronald goes, "I'll be right back. I'm going to go over to this girl's house." And he goes over to this girl's house, walks in the pool. They have this in-ground pool, and these girls are in there with this guy. And right away, he goes over to ask this one girl out. And she kind of totally blows him off. And I get the feeling that Ronald does this a lot, because they're very dismissive of him as soon as he shows up, and she's kind of even annoyed that he's even there, like he does this all the time. And he won't take the hint that she does not want to go out with him. And Ronald kind of leaves, and he's walking home in this alleyway, and he bumps into this girl riding a bike. This girl might be 8 or 9, maybe 10. And she starts giving him shit. And Ronald's like, "Well, I'm sorry I bumped into you, but you hit me too. Don't you think you should apologize?" And she starts laying into Ronald. And she starts shooting off about him and his mother. And as soon as she starts demeaning his mother, Ronald snaps and grabs her pretty violently. And then he kind of just throws her. He lets her go. And she trips and smashes her head off a cinder block. And there's blood. And he basically kills her. Now, yes, the act of grabbing her was very violent, for sure. But when he lets her go and he kind of tosses her aside and she trips and falls, I can see that being an accident. But then he goes and he tries to bury her. They don't show that part of it. He goes home and tells his mother what he's done. And he goes, "We got to go to the cops, but I don't want to be by myself. I don't want to be without you." And they kind of go back and forth. And his mother's like, "I'm not going to let that happen. I'm not going to let that happen. We're going to get out of here, but for now," and they come up with this elaborate plan. She had just gotten him this toolbox, all these tools in it for his birthday or something, or his graduation party. I can't remember what it was now. And they're going to wall off there. They have this bathroom, and they're going to wall it off, and he's going to live in there. And his only way out, well, at first, his only way out is through their pantry, this little panel that he can remove and come out, or she can slide food to him, and he's going to live in there for now until she can figure something out until they can get out of there. So the police show up later the next day or whatever. They stay up all night doing this, and she's like, I don't know where he went. He never came home. And they buy it, and they leave it alone. And he lives like that for a while with her. And she slides him food, and they have conversations through the wall, or he sticks his head out. And she's like, you got to keep exercising, keep your strength up, keep your health up. And we're going to be out of here soon, I promise you. And there's little hints that her health is not that great. And one day she tells him she's gonna go away for a week, and she'll be back. So she gives him a bunch of food so he doesn't have to worry about it. And she said, you stay in here, keep doing your exercises, and I'll be back in a week. Well, she never comes back. We find out that Ronald's mother had passed away. And before we know it, this real estate agent brings this woman to see the house. It still has all the furnishings in there from Ronald's mother. And Ronald's watching them and listening to them. And they decide to buy the house. And the husband of this couple, it's the wife, a husband, and 3 daughters. The husband actually looked familiar too. He actually played the porn king in Dragnet with Tom Hanks and Dan Aykroyd. He was in other films too, but he stuck out to me right as the porn king from Dragnet. And they move into the house and start renovating. Well, Ronald's infatuated with the one daughter. And since then, he's come up with his own, well, even before that, when his mother was still alive, he came up with his own fantasy world. And he was the prince of this fantasy world. And as soon as he sees the one daughter, he considers her his princess. And he starts drawing all these elaborate pictures on the walls and on these big pieces of paper. And Ronald watches her intently, and the whole family. And they keep hearing noises, but they're like, that's an old house, it's just making noises. And eventually, I'm going to fast forward through some things. It's very voyeuristic. He watches them a lot. He drills these holes in the wall so he can watch them in all these different angles. And he even sneaks out at some point to grab some stuff out of the fridge. And the wife even says to the husband, why'd you eat all the hard-boiled eggs? He's like, I don't even eat hard-boiled eggs. What the hell are you talking about? And then she just kind of chalks up as I must have miscounted or something like that. But he does sneak out to grab food from time to time. And one day when they're all out, the woman next door is a very nosy person. They even set that up when his mother's still alive. And she happens to see Ronald. Ronald just gets up and gives her this look, this death stare, and walks towards her. And the woman ends up having a heart attack and falling down the outdoor steps. Ronald ends up pulling her underneath the house and burying her under there. Because he's found another way out of the house. He cut a hole in the floor that he covers with this panel, and he can go down under the crawl space in the house and crawl out the side. There's like an access panel. And so he doesn't kill that woman. The woman has a heart attack, but he covers the body up. And then we finally have the parents go away, and the daughters stay home by themselves. And the oldest daughter starts dating the guy that was at the pool that Ronald was at. And here we find out that for that guy coming over for dinner saying that Ronald had killed my little sister. Because he says, I can't believe I'm actually in this house eating, and he tells them why. And Ronald chases the sister through the house. She's the youngest one, the one he's infatuated with, all through the house. She runs next door to the old woman that they don't know is dead yet, and Ronald locks her in the basement. Goes back to the house. The other sisters come home with the boyfriend, and they go out to get food, and he ties up the boyfriend, puts him in his little, where he's walled himself in, and then all of a sudden, he crashes through the wall because the daughters realize something's going on. I can hear this noise. And the cops are outside, and all of a sudden they catch Ronald, and that's the end of the film. And that is pretty much Bad Ronald. Now, this film is actually pretty good. I enjoyed it. I don't think if it would have went on any longer, it's only an hour and 14 minutes long. If it went on any longer, it would have been too long. It would have overstayed its welcome. I mean, there's some character things that could have been set up a little bit better, maybe explored a little bit more. But honestly, for the film they were trying to tell, if it would have went on any longer, it would have just dragged. It's the perfect length. Still not a perfect film. The cop, Sergeant Lynch, he's not a good cop. He doesn't buy what the kids are saying. He blows them off easily. He just seems very inept in this film. But although the kid who plays Ronald is really good, the mother's really good. She comes off as a little creepy and a little possessive. Like, she doesn't like Ronald spending time with anybody else. So you can see where Ronald psychologically has come to this point where he depends on his mother. Without her, it's almost like he slips off into fantasy land. And he does kill a person. I kind of felt bad for him at first, because the first kill is an accident, honestly. Although you could see this guy's a psychopath. But if his mother was willing to get him help, he could have been saved and been not a bad kid. But it all goes downhill from there, and he's peeping on these people. It's very creepy. It's not gore. It's a TV movie, so there's no real gore. You see a little bit of blood when that girl dies, but it's not, you know. And the other thing is the hygiene. By the time the end of the movie, Ronald is so dirty because he hasn't showered, and there's so much garbage in his little place he's hanging out in, this where he's walled up in. It's disgusting, man. He had a smell through the wall. They didn't smell him in there. And the other thing, I don't know about inspections in the 70s, but didn't the inspector notice that there was supposed to be a bathroom there that's not there anymore? And why the hell there's a wall where there shouldn't be one? There's a lot of questions. Now, I know it was the 70s. Maybe they didn't do that back then. I don't know. But there had to be plans for the house, right? And that showed there was a bathroom downstairs. There's some logic gaps, but it was the 70s. Who knows? Maybe they didn't do that stuff back then. I don't know. But this is a pretty fun time. I had a good time watching it. There's some creepy moments. Yes, it's a little dated. It's a 70s film. The Blu-ray had a pretty good transfer, I got to say, for a TV movie from the 70s. This movie was based on a novel by John Vance. I've never read it. But they say the novel is very graphic with the violence. Obviously, they toned it down. TV movie. They're not going to show much, especially back then. But I got to say, I enjoyed this one. It was well done. All the actors give a pretty good performance. I would give it a 7.5 out of 10. If you've never seen it, check it out. I've never seen it until last night. I highly enjoyed it. I'm glad Dale let me borrow it. It's a film that I never even knew about. So it's cool to discover something new that you never knew about. And yeah, 7.5 out of 10 for Bad Ronald. Have you ever seen Bad Ronald? Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think of this film. Hit the thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button. Share this video. I greatly appreciate it. I'll be back soon with some more horror reviews. Until then, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you later. Bye.